Hi, today I thought I'd take a look at the 1992 Comic Images Fangoria trading card set. This set comprised of 90 cards and had a whole bunch of covers. Basically, Fangoria magazine covers. Fangoria, of course, is the horror movie magazine that has all the inside dope on all the cool horror movies. Great colorful covers, great colorful images and stuff, and a lot of great quotes that are on the backs of these cards from horror masters. So let's start taking a look. So this is the first issue, talking about Godzilla, of course, and Alien. And here's a quote. Actually, this is basically, it's not a quote. This is just about the first issue and what was in it. Here's the second one. I figure since I put up the Fright Flicks cards that had some crazy imagery in it, this will probably be okay too. But basically, it's all special effects. It's all rubber and stuff like that, and strawberry sauce, I guess. Here's a Tom Savini quote about Maniac. Zombie George Powell, pretty awesome. A talk with John Carpenter. TV preview Force 5. Oh, that's the package that had the 5 anime in it. That's cool. Scatman on The Shining. There's a quote from Lucia Fulci on Zombie. These covers are incredible. I think these are sold in bookstores and stuff too. Scanners 2, Dr. Fibes. The Gate 2. Hardware versus the MPAA. I love Hardware. This is what you want. This is what you get. That song was in it. Graveyard Shift. And of course, Chucky in the corner here. There's a quote from David Cronenberg on Scanners. You can read the quotes. I don't need to read them out. Let's try and center this. Cool stuff. Friday the 13th. Critters. Hitchcock. Clive Barker, is he the next Stephen King? No, but sure. If you think so, then it is. Steve Miner on Friday the 13th, Part 2, quote. This is a great cover. You got Freddy and you have Michael Myers. Wes Craven's Shocker. Phantom of the Opera. Can England cut it? Oh yeah, was he not in a version? Bride of Reanimator and Sundown. We've got John Carpenter quoting on Halloween 2. These are incredible cards because the covers are awesome. So it's cool to have these. Motel Hell. Here's John Landis on horror. I won't make any helicopter jokes. Rob Bottin and the effects of the thing. Now Friday 13 Part 3 in 3D. I love Friday 13 Part 3 in 3D. The 3D stuff, even if you're not watching it in 3D, is so hilarious. Like, everything's popping at the screen. There's Rob Bottin on the thing. Videodrome. TV with Guts. Tom Savini. Scalps. And Gordon on Wood. Here is a quote from David Cronenberg on Videodrome. And you can read that for yourself. Invaders from Mars, the new one, in the 80s. Or was it early 90s? Poltergeist 2, Aliens, Psycho 1. Anthony Perkins on Psycho. And of course, Psycho was sequelized in the 80s. I feel like that's all but forgotten now. Psycho, of course, is a classic horror movie, but was franchised in the 80s. Spasms. Cronenberg on The Dead Zone. Rocky Video's Gruesome Effects. Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon. Firestarter. It's Dario Argento quote. Pretty awesome. There's Gremlins. Oh. I like Steven Spielberg's Tiny Chairs. Like, he didn't direct it. He produced it. But I think people thought it was like a Spielberg movie when it first came out. Stephen King on The Price of Fame. T2, FX2. FX is a franchise people I think I've forgotten. Pit and the Pendulum, Silence of the Lambs. Sometimes They Come Back. I like The Bullies from Hell. And here's Anthony Hopkins on Silence of the Lambs. I hadn't really thought of that movie as a horror movie until someone said that in high school one time. I was like, oh, I guess so. I was so used to supernatural horror because that's what I grew up with in the 80s. Tom Savini on Friday the 13th, the final chapter. The Addams Family. That's awesome. Borrower. Freddy's Dead. Free Jack. And Christopher Lee on Dracula, which is a role he was famous for in the 70s. And into the 80s with reruns and stuff. The Fly. Stephen King on It. That was the old It and the book. When I say old It, I mean like the Tim Curry one. Friday the 13th Part 2. Whatever you do, don't open the fridge. Clash of the Titans. The Hand. Wow. Yeah, that's a cool movie. It's a low budget thing. Hammer on TV. I have the Hammer House of Horror on DVD, but I think it's also on YouTube. Women on Film. I don't think they attribute this quote to anyone. Oh. Oh, here's Elvira talking about how they didn't start out putting down the movies. They just happened. Bride of Reanimator. Shadow over Innsmouth. I thought that became Dagon. I know it's the one that got away, but Stuart Gordon on Reanimator. Freddy. How many covers does Freddy adorn on the of Fangoria? Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Are you ready for Freddy? Yeah, as soon as they realized that Reddy and Freddy rhymed, that was everywhere. It was in songs and all sorts of stuff. Dead Heat. Monkey Shines, I remember that. Critters 2. Wes Craven quote. If you're going to pick one image from Total Recall to put on Fangoria, it's this one. Because then you see this and you're like, well, what kind of a movie is this? I thought it was just a dumb action thing. Clive Barker's Super Gremlins, the new batch. Oh, sorry, not Clive Barker, Rick Baker. I need glasses, man. RoboCop 2. And here's a Dario Argento quote. Life Force. Every growing boy's rite of passage in the 1980s. Toby Hooper quote. Nightbreed. Which is just an effects-a-thon. Like just a makeup effects-a-thon. Clive Barker quote. I'm Madman. Chris Wallace quote. Sleepwalkers. Once again, incredible covers. Very detailed in its pictures and very colorful. Leprechaun. Stuart Gordon quote. Little Shop of Horrors. And a free Exorcist poster inside. A Linda Blair quote. V. I love V. It doesn't get enough love nowadays. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. There's a Dick Smith quote. Monsters. I love that show. It's so awesome. Dark Shadows. And Heather Langenkamp talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Evil Dead 2. And Street Trash. That's cool. There's a Sam Raimi quote from Evil Dead 2. The Lost Boys. Joel Schumacher on The Lost Boys. I keep forgetting that was his movie. Hellraiser. Evil Dead 2 effects. It's Alive and Salem's Lot. A little more Lost Boys. And a Clive Barker quote for Hellraiser. Freddy's Revenge. And Fright Night. You know, we had such an embarrassment of riches in the 1980s for horror. But it was all, as I say, supernatural horror. Which was perfect for kids. Because it was fantasy. But it was just dark fantasy. But to me, that's what horror is. Because that was the steady diet of horror that I got. It had to be monsters. It had to be ghosts. It had to be, you know... it's not just a slasher, it's a supernatural slasher with powers or something. And I mean, that's sort of gone away nowadays, but yeah, I mean, and nowadays it's just like ghosts and things that move chairs or open a door or something. Everyone freaks out. There's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th 6. To some, the best one, but I mean, it's not quite. It's they're all different for different people, right? Cellar Dweller, Night of the Living Dead tribute. Judith O'Dea on the Night of the Living Dead. Cool. Dark Man, which I never saw as a horror movie, but I guess it could be. It's kind of a superhero movie, especially for its time when things are getting darker in comics, even though it's not based on a comic. American Werewolf in London. You can read the quotes for yourself. There's Gremlins 2, the new batch, which is a fun, colorful film to watch now. So many different kinds of Gremlins in that. But it's zany. It's kooky. I mean, it begins with, like, the Looney Tunes characters, so... Yeah. Phantasm 2. And Angus Scrimm on playing the tall man. Child's Play. And Predator 2, which is awesome. It's such an underrated film. Tom Holland, not that Tom Holland. He wasn't even born yet. Fright Night. This guy is from Day of the Dead, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, Day of the Dead. I didn't even read that. There's some great zombie effects in that. Wonderful movie. I was freaked out by it as a kid, and then I grew to love it. Nightmare 4. Elvira. Robert Englund on Nightmare on Elm Street 4. I guess they felt like 4 was going to be the last one. What idiots. As long as there's money. I mean, they were selling dolls and stuff. Motel Hell, which is a weird movie. Where they hypnotize people with lights and stuff, and I don't know. And then they bury their bodies and have their heads be their crops. And Halloween 4. Toxic Avenger 2. Oh, and do the back. Here it is. Donald Pleasance on Halloween 4. Invisible Man, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Addams Family. Yeah, I mean, it's horror adjacent. So, might as well cover it here. And there are still effects to show off. Hellraiser 2. They Live, Dead Ringers, The Blob, the 1980s one. It's a quote from Doug Bradley on Pinhead. I go, Creep Show, E.G. Marshall, A True Sport. I love the new Creepshow TV series. So good, man. Stephen King quote. The Fly from Beyond. Friday 13th Part 6. Frank Mancuso Jr. quote. Phantom of the Opera, Robert Englund, which no one really talks about today. Nightbreed, Shocker, which was designed to be the start of a franchise, never happened. I thought it was cool. I think at that point people were waning on the supernatural slasher. But it had a run, man. It had a long run. Jaws 3D. Oh. What is the highest grossing sequel of all time? Jaws 2 at that point, I guess. I don't know what they mean. Highest grossing sequel of all time. Wouldn't it be Empire Strikes Back or maybe horror sequel? Oh, yeah, it said horror sequel. Oh, well, I mean, that's probably been surpassed now. Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, which is wicked. And I feel a lot of people, when they think of Tales from the Dark Side, they're really thinking of that movie and not the show. Oh, it's all like trivia now, eh? And Willard Ben was one of 2 featured rats. What was the other rodent's name? Socrates. Exorcist 3, which is wonderful. In which country does the creepy prologue of The Exorcist take place? And I think it's Iraq. Which at the time held meaning when this card series came out because of Operation Desert Storm, I guess. Critters 2. Friday the 13th Part 7. In which Friday the 13th film does Jason first get his hockey mask? 3. Everyone knows that. Yeah, Funhouse. It's Goatface, or whatever they call him in that movie. Who is the first character to die horribly in The Omen? And it's like a governess. I don't like The Omen, but whatever. it's I don't know. I like The Omen 3. Extro. The Sender. Hey, Larry Cohen's Q. The Winged Serpent, right? What's the question here? What soon-to-be comedy star appeared in the Nature and Mock film Day of the Animals? Leslie Nielsen, who was a leading man in movies for a long time. Friday the 13th. Past, Present, and Future. What was Tom Savini's first film after Friday the 13th? Maniac. Halloween 3. The one without Michael Myers. Also, Halloween Ends. Well, yeah, he's kind of in it. What time is it when Judy Myers is murdered in Halloween? 10 o'clock. Dick Smith, The Hunger. Amityville 2. What was the first horror film released in 3D? House of Wax. Huh. Before... I guess that would be before... Is it before Creature from the Black Lagoon? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. These are awesome covers. There's 2 mutilated... No, 3... No, I guess the theme here is mutilated faces. What was the set to star in... Who was set to star in Universal's never filmed King Kong? Peter Falk. Oh, excuse me, Kong, one last thing. That's a cool creature. A special H.P. Lovecraft issue. What famous action star appeared in Revenge of the Creature and Tarantula? Clint Eastwood. In a small role, of course. Amityville 3D, which I wasn't a big fan of, but it's okay. Those Amityville films are great. I think part 2 is the best one. Because it shows what happened, and it's very disconcerting. I'll say that. So wait, what was the question here? And what opera is at the end of the Murders in Dario Argento's opera? It's Macbeth. Free Howling poster. What is Freddy Krueger's mother's name? Amanda. Amanda Krueger. Children of the Night. The Haunted, American Psycho, Woman 4. Where does the film Alligator take place? The Midwest. That's cool. The Power. Huh. Just reading all these. How many monsters threaten the characters in Tremors? 4. I guess there were 4, yeah. I feel like it's 1 or 2. What is the first song written about Freddy Krueger, and who was the first band to perform it? Freddy Krueger by Stormtroopers of Death. Yeah, there are a lot of Freddy songs, and famously, Will Smith wrote one on spec and did a whole video without, like, the company's permission, like Bob O'Shea and them, and got sued. The video was ordered to be destroyed. It was missing from the internet and everything for like 25 years, and now you can find it. It's a great song though, and it's better than the Houdini song they used, which is good too, man. It's okay. For I think part 4 or 3, I can't remember which one. Where were the titles of both the short story from which Maximum Overdrive drew its inspiration and the Stephen King collection it appeared in? Trucks from Night Shift. There you go. Predator 2, Child's Play 2, Jacob's Ladder. Which movie's ad line asserted that the most terrifying nightmare of childhood is about to return? The Boogeyman. Poltergeist, yeah, that's all the dead bodies rising up from the unfinished pool. Which ad line insisted that you will not feel the terror until you experience the movie? Parasite. Dun dun dun. Ghost Story. Which film's ad line revealed that the tenant in room 7 is very small, very twisted, and very mad? Basket Case. Now, those are great movies. It's just a straight-on picture. And here's a write-up. Just a bunch of makeup effects. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Oh. Makeup being applied. I guess people are fond of like putting a filter over everything and make it look more monochromatic, but I like colorful imagery, man. And that was it. Here's a checklist. I hope you enjoyed this stroll through the 1992 Fangoria magazine trading card set from Comic Images. Till next time, take care.